Hey Trent.
Hey Trevor, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Welcome back to Loans to Listing. You always welcome me back. I wanted to welcome you.
It's great to be back.
Yeah.
Loans to listings.
Yep. With your friend Trent and Trevor.
Yeah. There we go.
I know who we are. Okay. I look in the mirror. I just, I don't know why I want to. Have you lost weight since this picture?
Maybe. I mean, it was like in India. Like I lost a bunch of weight, but yeah.
Oh, in India, you lost a bunch of weight?
Yeah.
I was just thinking your face just looks a little bit more full. You look more tan right now, so it could be accentuating the wrinkles a little bit more. I'm just kidding.
Great. More signs the body is progressing through life.
Yeah, well, you know what? You can't get out of aging. Father Time is undefeated. So, and I don't get, we've talked about this before. Like I brought up Mickey Rourke and I was like, I don't get the whole try to
fix it.
Yeah, fix it. Yeah. Put stuff, Botox or whatever, because it always ends up not looking as good later down the road. I mean, it looks okay when it's happening.
Yeah.
Full lips, whatever. I don't know. Work with what you got.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you can change it like health-wise, exercise and stuff like that, I'm all for it. You know, it's just, you get into that superficial stuff. Just find somebody that likes you for who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can just work on being healthy.
Yep.
You know, so it's
perfect.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So, anyways, we were talking about some deals going on, you know, that we had some issues like last episode.
Right. You know, one of the things we missed on the last episode, whatever happened with the cap versus cage?
And the guy's like, well, where's the cage around the cap? The cap versus cage.
So you have to go back a couple episodes.
Okay.
So there was the issue between the buyer's agent on your $1 million listing was saying that the cage was wrong on the chimney thing.
Chimney,
yeah. So like you're like, no, you asked for the cap. And they're like, but I meant the cage.
That was the whole argument why I missed the exit.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, you missed the exit.
Okay, so he scheduled a chimney inspector to go out there, and it was like at 10 a.m. and I told the homeowner, I was like, you know, we're gonna have this, and the homeowner was like, we just spent $6,800. What? I was like, look, we're just doing it just to ease it, you know, make the buyer feel happy that he's getting what he, you know, expected or whatever.
Yeah.
I said, I don't expect you to pay anything. And if there is an issue, it's going to be an issue between the buyer's agent and the selling agent. We're going to take care of everything. We're not going to push this issue onto the clients.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of those negotiating things that there was a communication issue between us. So the agents need to figure it out. It's not the problem of either clients. So we get out there and my clients meets me outside. He was just like, you know, and the chimney guy was already there. He showed up early. And so actually he called me. He's like, hey, the day before, he's like, I'll call you a half hour before to give you a heads up. That way you can make sure you're there. I said, great. So he gives me a call. He's like, hey, I'm at the gate. I need the code to get in. And I'm like, well, it's not going to take you 30 minutes to get from the gate to the house.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, oh, I apologize. I was like, no problem. I just live down the street. Just in case I wasn't down the street.
Right.
You know,
you needed some time.
Yeah, exactly. So I was making phone calls. I got out of my pajamas and put my clothes on. I like to make phone calls in my pajamas. It's a comfortable thing. Yeah, it's like
people can feel that you're comfortable.
Yeah, you know what? Like I don't know what it is. It's like I feel like I'm wearing a suit when I'm talking to people on the phone. Like it feels like that. But then I look in the mirror and I'm like, no, I'm not. You know, it's like. But anyways, I got changed. You know, I get my standard outfit and I go out there, and the chimney guy's there, and I just said, hey, listen. I expect chimneys to look like what it currently looks like. I said, we just want to make sure that it's, you know, compliant with any sort of code or anything like that. Yeah. And that, you know, that there's not going to be any issues. I said, we don't like, I said, they think that there should be a cap around the whole thing. And he's like, oh, a wind cap? And I said, oh, a wind cap. I said, yeah, because we currently have the chimney cap on top. I said, and that seems to me should be fine. And he's like, well, some people in Florida like to get wind caps because it's a lot stronger of a structure to go up against the high winds. And I said, well, is it necessary? He's like, no, it's an additional accessory. And my client was standing right there, and he's like, additional accessory. I like the sound of that.
Additional accessory.
So I was like, okay, great. If we could just get a quote, from you on that and stuff, that would be fantastic, because maybe the buyer will want to buy it. I said, at this point, I can guarantee the sellers aren't going to go for this.
Yeah.
But we want to quote, make sure the buyer has all the information and whatnot. So I get the information back, and, part of me is just like, I just need to be polite with everybody, make sure everybody's, okay with it. And so I just said, hey, to the buyer's agent, I was like, hey, the chimney guy came out and he said, in its current state, it meets all standards for the county and for everybody, like that's how it should be built.
Yep.
He also said that some people get additional accessories. Yeah. Which is the wind cap, which can be put over the entire thing. And I said, he quoted us $2,500 for that. And I was like, I said, I can guarantee you, since it's additional, that my buyers aren't going to go for it. I said, I don't know if my sellers aren't going to go for it. I said, I don't know if the buyer is requiring this, but at this point, it sounds like it's something that he needs to handle, or it needs to get figured out.
Yeah.
So I get a text back from the buyer's agent. Yeah, no need. He doesn't need those additional accessories.
$2,500 is too much.
Yeah. So I text the homeowners. I said, the buyer's not in need of any additional accessories, so we're okay. And the homeowner, he was just like, bye.
Yeah.
He's just like, and I was like, look, I said, sometimes just making sure everybody's comfortable with the deal, and then we're not hiding anything,
right?
And so a lot of this was just miscommunication of how it's supposed to look. This guy's from New York. Maybe they have more like stronger structures. The buyer's agent told me, he's like, man, all chimneys have that. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, go out and walk your neighborhood. They will all have it. I said, which houses have chimneys? I said, I'm going to do what you told me, and then I'm going to go walk my neighborhood, and then I'll tell you which ones have it. And then I drove around. We have 260 plus homes, like 262 in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
2 homes had a chimney.
Oh.
The one for sale and the one right next to it. Both the Vintage built homes, Vintage LLC is the company, have chimneys. The other custom built homes do not have chimneys. None of the other homes have chimneys. And so I said, I walked the whole neighborhood. I said, actually, I drove. Exactly 2 have it, and they're exactly the other one that has it. It looks exactly like that. And so I sent him pictures of both. And I said, so anyways, he's from New York. And I was like, dude.
They probably have a lot more.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not an additional accessory in New York. Maybe it's just the way they are.
Maybe it's standard.
Yeah.
And that could be it. But I would, like, when he told me to walk the neighborhood, I was like, dude, we're in Florida, man. Yeah. Nobody has chimneys. I mean, some custom built homes do. Nobody else does.
Yeah.
I said, so I can't just walk up and down my neighborhood and tell you how chimneys are supposed to be built. They're not around.
Yeah.
It's like, so, anyways, it felt good getting that stuff off, because I'm just like, man, like, this just seems like unnecessary issues.
Yeah.
But then again, people are spending a lot of money. They
course.
deserve to figure out what they're buying and make sure they know what they're buying.
And feel like they're getting what they expect.
Exactly. So I have no problem against it. But it was interesting, because it was like such a heated conversation, like on the drive here, that I missed the exit.
Yeah.
Like we're yelling at each other. Well, it started out, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think there's anything that's supposed to be added on there. And then he's just telling me, he's like, I don't like when people get condescending with me, and they're like, how long have you been in real estate? How many homes have you looked at? And I'm like, bring yourself down. Okay, hold on one second. It doesn't even matter. This could be my first day on the job, and I could still be right and you could still be wrong. I would not go with that approach, that condescending approach, because you might be wrong, which you were. So it was one of those things. That's how it got so heated. It was just like, please don't talk to me like that. Like, I don't care, if you're 21 years in the industry. From what I find, people that have been in the industry so long are not up to date on real estate nowadays. And so I don't like to, people can see how much I sold, and you can tell when you talk to me that I've sold a lot of real estate. I don't need to be like, I've been in for this long.
Right.
I just don't think that's a flex personally. So, but anyways, yeah, everything's going great on that.
Good.
We just have the appraisal issue.
Yeah.
So
that'll resolve itself. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's going to work out.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, it'll be fine. The buyer wants the house. The sellers need to sell it. I think we can bump up the appraisal. I don't see why not. I don't know. Do you know? Because I've never ordered a second appraisal. Can you order a second appraisal? Or does it automatically have to be on that first one? And then
depends. Are they financing?
They're financing, but he's putting down 75%.
So just have to talk to the lender and see, if it'll be allowed. It's like, hey, because sometimes there's different appraisal management companies. You can order another one, perhaps, and just see, hey, I need you to do it with a different appraisal management company. We'll allow it. Some price points even require it. This one's probably just outside of that, but
possibly, yeah.
But I think if you go like $1.5 million, they usually want 2. So it is possible to order another one. On it, some lenders will even take, and not as much unconventional, but they'll allow you to take and get a like a private appraisal. But
you just pay for it, yeah.
Yeah, you pay for it. You have to do it through an AMC, through a lender's portal kind of thing, but they'll allow that for somebody else. But yeah, from what you described on the last episode, I think they need, you either need to be like, hey, you need to use these comps. Your stuff doesn't make sense. You're doing a disservice.
Yeah.
An appraisal is an opinion of value supported by facts, but I don't think he's using the right facts.
Right. And that's even the lender was the one. She's like, I don't understand. He's not using anything on the water. He's not using anything that has anything to do with this house. She's like, I'm confused how we can even use these. And then how does he get the value of $200,000 as a premium for that lot? She's like, if you go like a mile up to Lake Nona, is that 200,000? How do you decide what, if you're not, you have to use comps that are comparable.
Yeah.
For unicorn, especially unicorn properties, you have to figure out something that's comparable. You just can't, just too subject. So the lender was super baffled. Like she was the one that was just like, I just don't even understand. She's like, I'm reading this report. I don't even understand what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's crazy.
I was like, I totally get it. So
yeah,
like we're all on the same page, but it's still something that has to be addressed.
Yep. Just have to take care of it and make it go away.
Yep. Yep. So you going to UWM anytime? Are you going this month?
Yeah. Doing a little bit of traveling this again, because we were there on the agent trip. So that was fun. And so it was so much fun. I booked it 2 months in a row. But no, this time I'm going up with some team members, and we're all bringing some agents. We're trying to get a nice big group together. I think there's a total of 17 of us going. That's
going to be a party.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost too much for me.
Too much social life.
Yeah.
But no, it'll be good. So we're going to go taking some agents. Some other team members taking agents. So just making a big, hey, why use Empire? Why... look at the lenders that we work with, the value they provide. So we get to, it's that whole passport effect, right? Hey, here's the value I provide, here's the value they provide, and then you just kind of get to see it. Because when you were there, I felt like it was a little more impactful to see it versus just I can tell you. Or, think about it this way, we had an issue because they do provide shuttles, but we wanted flexibility, so we decided to drive. And when we tried to park in the area, we had to park so far away because there were so many employees. They had 10,000 employees?
Yeah, roughly 10,000. So, but the thing about it too is, when you go to UWM, you really realize that you don't need to go anywhere. So once you go to work, they have daycare there. So if you have kids, you take your daycare. They got gyms there. They got restaurants and cafeterias.
Yeah.
They got everything there. So when you go to work, you don't leave. So we're looking for a spot going up and down these, but nobody's leaving.
Nobody's leaving. They're at 8 a.m. and they're parked until they leave it.
Yeah, you have to I would imagine some of their shifts end at 3 or 4, early afternoon, and some people are working at night. So I would imagine when you hit those times, you might find a parking spot.
You might, and that's the thing. Nobody's going out to lunch there. It was actually super reasonable. I got a side of tater tots to complement the meal that they provided. And a cookie, and it was $5. It was a big cookie.
Yeah.
So it's really reasonable. People are there for the day.
Yeah.
But there's so many people, and you can see why the underwriting with UWM moves really fast, because there's dedicated teams to each group. So we met our dedicated underwriters, and I mean, they have like 2,000 like underwriters. And the other side of it too is they have a giant closing department. So deals close fast. Clear to close typically means we're getting docs out within 4 hours.
Yeah, they're pretty serious about everything. Listening to Matt Ishbia he's so impressive to listen to. He's the CEO.
Yeah.
But he just, any sort of problem or like even foresight, like he just is always like, I want to be ahead of the game. So like even like building wise, he has a whole nother building that they haven't even expanded into that's attached to the other one, that he's like, when we need more processors, I don't want to have to hire more processors. I already want to have them on staff.
Right. Yeah, and that's what it is. So they are like, what did they say? They're overstaffed on purpose. It's like, yeah. So it's like it's always there. So as like the need swells, they're not playing catch up.
Exactly.
Like, okay, we have more underwriters, we have more processors, so we can move things around. We can keep the customer service level the same.
Yeah, because most people scale the wrong way. They're reactive rather than proactive.
Right.
And I was like, man, Matt Ishbia, everything he kept saying, we do this ahead of time so that when we get too big for this, it'll be ready. And I'm just like, whoa, this guy is just like thinking of everything.
Yeah.
It's like, but he's seen it. He's been in the industry. He sees what changes. And I like when realtors go there and they're like, because when people hear they're doing lending through us, and then but their program, their actual lender is UWM, right? We're the brokerage. And they don't understand what UWM is or anything. They know who Wells Fargo is. Wells Fargo makes sure everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
But UWM is enormous and nobody knows who they are. So it gives some perspective when you go there. You're like, wow, they actually got it together.
Right. And you can kind of hear little snippets in like the news. UWM, maybe Matt Ishbia comes up in like, UWM versus Rocket, which is like a hot topic. But
it is a hot topic. But Rocket's buying everything up too.
Well, that's part of it too. And then the other side that you're seeing is like UWM, and their biggest pitch is like, but you don't see a UWM commercial.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but as a broker, you've actually also kind of flooded a lot of my, things, because the algorithm says you've been on UWM's site. All right, here's some, ads going that way. But no, there are no UWM commercials. That part's true. But
so what do they do? Because he did say like with the Phoenix Suns or whatever, or like when they have that program where as a broker we get populated up if we keep a certain amount of points or whatever.
Yeah, so they do it really smartly. They provide a lot of value, but they also want to make sure they're getting and using that value. So they'll have like a weekly video that recaps their morning huddle. Morning huddle is an hour long. Sometimes I don't have the hour, often not. So I watch the 3-minute recap video. They got 3 points to talk about for the month. So you watch some of these videos and it helps improve what's called your pro ranking. You go up and you visit UWM because they want you to, the whole purpose of going there is to grow. Am I growing with realtors? Am I growing with just learning new skills at UWM? So they reward that. They give you additional points. And if you send files there, because it's the right place to send it, that's how I do it. Hey, if it's a file that it's got great pricing and I know the turn time is going to be solid, I'll send it there. Like, it just works out really well. So you send some files there, you get rankings. Now, they have a separate site on, I think it's, I don't remember what it was, maybe it's Find a Broker or something like that. But the better your ranking is with them, the more they help promote you.
But they don't advertise that website, or do they advertise that website?
I don't know how much they advertise the website. I think it's kind of like people who start to search for a mortgage broker or something like that. Maybe it's findamortgagebroker.com. Don't quote that. I don't know.
It's somebody else's.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we got all these hits from loans to listings of people, visiting our site. This is fantastic. We've been waiting for this.
You're welcome.
New sponsor coming soon. But so they'll help incentivize people that way, because obviously the more they can help showcase the brokers who send them business, the more business they can get. Yeah. So that's how they kind of work.
Yeah, that's their big thing, is their big promotion is just promoting our businesses.
Right.
Because the more business we have, presumably the more business they're going to get. So yeah, I enjoyed that. So that'll be good. Maybe you'll get some more business down there, and that's good. And this has to be a somewhat quick episode. Probably should get going.
Yep.
But I did want to mention Mortgage Con again because that is our sponsor.
Yeah, our actual sponsor.
Mortgage Con 2026 isn't just another mortgage conference. It's an immersive, high-octane adventure across Universal Orlando. With 40 plus exhibitors, this is where mortgage originators come to level up and let loose. Join the magic. Grab your ticket now at mortgagecon2026.com.
It's Empire's mortgage convention. It's held at Universal Studios. Still tight-lipped on some of the details because we want to keep it spoiler-free, but it is action-packed. It is the place to be if you are a mortgage broker or a mortgage professional in general. If you're direct lending, you should come by and see. There's ways to learn, grow your business, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot more fun than just your usual conference in a giant space in a hotel or something like that. It's at Universal.
Yeah, and so you have to dress up. Like part of it is, it's go as your favorite superhero.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, lending man.
That's we all know how Trent goes.
Maybe we'll have to see. If you come, you might see me in that. But if you need to get tickets, go to mortgagecon2026.com.
And we don't have any dates yet, but
they might be on the website. I know it's early February.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, hey, listen, this was great, even if it was short. I don't know how short it was. It seemed like it was good though.
I think we were about 20 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Trent.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.